I believe that you run from love. I believe that Dr. Cheyanne Bryant is quite possibly the same personality type as Nick Cannon and Cam Newton. I believe that all three of you are serial monogamous with narcissistic tendencies.
No elevators to success. Success looks like this. You walk up the stairs, you walk up the mountain, you continue to walk up the mountain, everything falls, you start all over again.
There are no elevators to success. Yet somehow, Cheyanne Bryant found a way to become a doctor with no degrees. And DL Hughley is really coming for her neck for scamming innocent women. When Cheyanne was making her rounds as an internet doctor, anyone who dared to question her credentials was shut down immediately. Fast forward to now, and Cheyanne Bryant has no degrees to be found and got exposed for giving dangerous advice to thousands of black women while cashing out. For DL Hughley, it was clear from the start that Cheyanne was a fraud. The only reason she got away with it for this long is because of the convincing lies she told.
Well, I can't believe that people are asking to see everybody. When you go to a doctor's office, somebody, if they're working with your mind or your body, if they're a mechanic, they show you on the wall. They see you,
yeah, you right.
You're not gonna walk in somebody and they want to deride, nigga. If you like, so I think, but I do think it's disingenuous to believe that they ask people if you're dealing with somebody's mind.
It's crazy to think that Cheyanne Bryant pulled off one of the longest running grifts in the black community when everything about her is the opposite of what she preaches. So just for a bit of context, Cheyanne Bryant was on the Joe Budden podcast a few weeks ago, where she talked about a few things including her relationship status. But out of nowhere, she decided to spill a little tidbit about her career.
The therapist, I started off as a marriage, family, and child therapist about 18 years ago. Before I obtained my doctorate degree in counseling psychology. Once I became a doctor of psychology, I transitioned from a therapist to a psychology expert in private practice. And so I no longer practice under a license. I'm in private practice.
You're making all the money now.
That's what I'm saying. And that's what people don't understand, right? So just to educate some folks a little bit, a license is really only needed so you can bill insurance. And let me go a step further. Majority of people who know that in order to bill insurance as a therapist or a physician or a psychologist, psychiatrist, you have to diagnose.
Okay.
Most people don't want to have a diagnosis on their record. So what do they rather do?
Now, this is a backtrack if we've ever seen one. Music. In the past 2 years, Cheyanne Bryant shot to fame as an internet celebrity and self-proclaimed doctor of psychology. She told us she had 6 degrees, 3 doctorates, and a master's degree. She got so much clout and attention from building her career as a reliable street therapist that she became the president of NAACP branch. Unfortunately for her, people have started catching on. If she was going to work as a therapist without a license, how do we know that she's been qualified to give advice this whole time? And makes you wonder why she suddenly came out to confess. Was there someone threatening to out her, and she decided to get in front of the story first? So, Cheyanne went on The Breakfast Club to maybe try to clear the air on the doubts people were having. She claimed that she got her doctorate from Argosy University that closed due to bankruptcy. Because of that, she cannot access her certificate. And if she wanted a refund for it, it would cancel out all the credits she got for the course.
I went to a school, Argosy University, completed an entire program. I went back online to get my official transcripts because I was applying to a law school many years ago to be a professor there. And I had to provide my transcripts, right, to get hired. And I went to contact the school and say, hey, I need my official transcripts. I need my entire thing. And there was no school. I was like, okay, I'm confused. I Google. It says this school has been shut down. I said, oh, well, they got to have records. I mean, they were accredited when I attended the school. They were accredited when I finished the program. I go and look, there is a third party that has the records. Where I contact the third party, that third party only holds records for 2 years.
Convenient is this for Cheyanne Bryant. The minute people started to call her out, she tells everyone that she went to a university that just so happens to be shut down. She thought that was going to tie up the situation perfectly because even if you went looking, nothing would pop up. But here's the weird part. All of the diplomas and transcripts from Argosy University are reportedly on their online portals. And if you can't get it there, The transcripts can still be found on the Parchment website. But guess what? Cheyanne Bryant's doctorate was nowhere to be found. And let's put the doctorate aside for a second. Everyone knows that going to college and making it as far as getting a doctorate is a big thing in the Black community. I mean, even Chris Brown with his honorary degree still showed up all smiles to take a picture in his wig and gown. But how come Cheyanne has nothing to show? If she was too busy to get her graduation pictures taken, then what about her dissertation? Why isn't it published anywhere? What about the professors that reviewed her dissertation? Now, some people have defended Cheyanne, claiming that she doesn't need to have a degree.
Why are you all so obsessed about Cheyanne Bryant? Like, okay, she lied. I can see she lied and like harmed people. She was on my podcast and she was brilliant. We live in a world where we act like credentials is what determines somebody's effectiveness across the board. And in some respects, it is absolutely necessary. And in her respect, it actually wasn't necessary for her to do the work that she does. That being said, I just don't care. She was on my podcast and she was incredible. I don't care. There are also people who call themselves doctor when they get an honorary doctorate, and I don't think that's much different. Maya Angelou was walking around calling herself Dr. Maya Angelou.
You made her. You made her who she is. All her millions of followers, her #1 book, selling book, her trips on her yacht and all of that. You all pay for that.
But DL Hughley isn't here for any of that. First of all, Cheyanne Bryant either has a personality disorder or is just a habitual liar because almost everything she claimed about her life has been disproved. She still doubled down at a podcast recently and went off about the things she had supposedly accomplished when she was very young. She said she bought her first house at 19 and had 3 retail stores on Melrose and had her own handbag line called Cheyanne Nicole Bags.
I was winning the bread. I was paying the majority of the bills, and I was in school with 26 units a semester. I was running an entire mobile legal company that I owned. So I was moving and shaking. And
at 21 years old, you was doing that?
At 21, I bought my first house at 19 years old.
What?
Bought my
in
first
LA?
house at 19 in the city of Long Beach, in North Long Beach.
Let's go.
I bought a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house and then built a whole loft in the backyard and rented the whole thing out and moved in with him closer to my retail store that I had. I had 3 retail stores on Melrose. You know Melrose?
Yes.
Yeah, 3 retail stores. I was actually, I have to brag about this, y'all. I was the first, because I loved it.
Yes.
I was the first and youngest Black woman to ever own a store.
And people are asking where are the receipts? Cheyanne was running her business, paying bills, taking 26 credits, owning a home, and acting as a landlord at the same time. She was doing all of this at 19 to 21 years old. And anyone who's had to take that many credits at school or run a business with a production line in Italy knows that it is impossible to do it all together. When internet sleuths went digging, there was no evidence of a Cheyanne Nicole handbag line. Now, Melrose is one of the most famous places in LA, especially in the early 2000s. If she had 3 stores there and was the youngest Black woman to do so, she was going to have footprints all over the place. But there wasn't a single thing that pointed to her being at Melrose, even if she worked in one of the many stores. Right now, the only degree Cheyanne has is in apparel and fashion from California State University Northridge, instead of the psychology and Pan-African studies degree she claims she got from the university. So she cannot produce not one degree, a transcript, her dissertation, or evidence of her businesses. And her excuse is that she doesn't have to prove nothing to nobody. And that's where she's wrong. DL said Cheyanne basically hijacked the street therapy space from other Black therapists. You would never see her with other Black or female therapists because Cheyanne would always find her way to podcasts that wouldn't push or question her on anything. And because she's entering spaces with Shannon Sharpe, Cam Newton, Joe Budden, and even the Breakfast Club, who cannot speak intellectually on gender and sexuality, Cheyanne could go in there, give some generic advice confidently, and get some love as a smart woman. And since she is a beautiful woman with light eyes, it's easy for men to want to listen to her and women to put her on a pedestal and eat up everything she puts down. And that's where the problem lies. Cheyanne is out here telling the public to live in their truth and take accountability for their lives. Music, she's talking to people with mental health issues, narcissism, and trauma almost every day. But how can she help people when she's very much with the same problems? It's now obvious that she's lying and deceiving the public, but instead of letting the noise die down and course correcting, she's doubling down on it, which is a dangerous trait to have for someone that claims to be a mental health expert. If you go to her website, most of her services are priced reasonably low. And Cheyanne did confirm that she priced it that way to work with low-income people who are weary of the institution and music need someone who they can trust. And it's beyond obvious that she's contributing to bigger problems.
Okay.
Most people don't want to have a diagnosis on their record. So what do they rather do? Pay out of pocket.
That's what I do.
And so when I realized that, I thought, well, okay, it may create a gap within our community, our Black community, who can't afford health care or afford mental health services. But it also is a way that, as a therapist, two things: you can obviously make what you deserve, because therapy is real. We're giving everything we have in there, and we're unpacking shit, and we're helping you process through things. So it's not us sitting there. Well, if you're an effective...
Cheyanne's whole business operation comes off as a multi-level marketing scheme. And while it's easy to dismiss mental health as not important, the truth is people are already paying for it. Someone said, "I wanted to explain something from my personal encounter with Dr. Bryant, informing me that she was a woman and family therapist. This during the time my therapist wasn't available, and I wanted another Black woman therapist. Plus, I enjoyed some of the advice she was giving. In our initial appointment, I was never asked intake questions about myself, which was confusing. I didn't sign any forms or anything. I felt like I was talking to a homegirl who was giving advice. The conversation was about her multiple engagements to some men and how she sees herself rather than getting to really know me, which was why I didn't rebook. At that moment, I was dealing with anxiety due to PTSD and was looking for guidance. But I fell into depression after speaking with her because I wasn't in a space to hear how I wasn't a high-valued woman. I was looking for tools to learn and cope with what I was going through." Another person said, "I paid her $300 for 1 hour to be reminded I was low vibrational. My anxiety and PTSD were so triggered that I had to wait for my licensed mental health therapist to have an opening."
Dr. Cheyanne Bryant is committing wire fraud, in my opinion. Drop the doctor or provide proof, because what you're doing is wire fraud. And each instance is punishable by up to 20 years in federal prison. And an instance is not your website. It's not the one website and that's one count. Each time a person hires you because you induced them to by calling yourself a doctor and a psychology expert when you are neither of those things, each time someone hired you is a count of wire fraud.
Right now, Cheyanne Bryant is tripping with how she's handling the criticism. And it's important for Black women to finally put their foot down and demand that she take some accountability. I watched Cheyanne Bryant's interview back like 5 times. I got to admit, she's spewing complete BS 80% of the time and contradicts herself 50% of the time. Music, up there just playing word salad. Wait a minute. I just noticed for the first time she has a chain that says doc. Literally the clearest indicator that someone is not a doctor is if they have jewelry saying they're a doctor. Apparently, Dr. Cheyanne Bryant is more inclined to show the public her body than her dissertation and doctorate degree. Go figure. Thirst trapping is a means to deflect criticism and avoid accountability. Color me surprised. Do you think people are angry for no reason about Cheyanne Bryant's degrees? Or should we have known she was a fraud from the start? Sound off in the comments and make sure to like and subscribe.